Thanks so much for joining us here at 5. I'm John Adams. The heavy rainfall this past week still having some major impacts on our area. Up in southwest Washington, another landslide, and in northwest Oregon, some residents of an RV park had to evacuate due to flooding. Our Jake Holter is joining us live tonight from Clatskanie with an update there. Hey, Jake.
Hey John, yeah, we're here at River's Edge RV Resort and Camping, where as you can see, there is still plenty of standing water, but just in the hours that we've been here, it has receded quite a bit. You can kind of see the debris line right here from where the water was to where it is now, so it is going down, but overnight, the owner tells me about 20 people had to be evacuated because of this flooding. Trailers and cars damaged, and some people evacuated at the River's Edge RV Park in Clatskanie early Saturday morning.
There's about 18 that were evacuated with the fire department. They just put them in a larger rig and were able to go through the floodwaters and bring them over to the entrance there, and then we got them shuttled up to the high school.
River's Edge RV Park owner Philip Rissell says the park got more floodwaters than they had projected.
We alerted the campers through a mass text system that we have, and some elected to leave, and most of the campers ended up staying throughout the night.
This week's atmospheric river causing the nearby Clatskanie River to rise and flood the park.
And they had a small levee around that Clatskanie River there that broke. So it sounds like about a 100-foot section gave way and poured water into that area where those RVs are.
The American Red Cross in Clatskanie assisting state and local agencies with sheltering and feeding those temporarily displaced. The city of Rainier has also offered a location for temporary sheltering for those with RVs. Rissell says he expects the park to be back to normal by Sunday afternoon. About an hour southeast, the northbound lanes of I-5 shut down after an early morning landslide. This is drone video KGW shot of the scene around 1 p.m. Washington State Patrol says the landslide is at mile marker 22 between Woodland and Kalama. 2 cars were damaged in the landslide, one from Beaverton and one from Vancouver. WSP says no one was injured. Traffic backed up for miles south of Woodland due to the debris. Crews cleaning up the scene and assessing the slope to make sure it is once again safe for travel. And that northbound stretch of I-5 is now partially open. John?
A lot of cleanup due to this atmospheric river. All right, Jake, thanks so much. And let's go live out right now in southwest Portland. Well, we'll see if we can get that back up. Here's some video from earlier from southwest Portland, where a landslide from Wednesday continues to cause problems. On Southwest 45th Drive between Garden Home Road and Taylor's Ferry is the location you're looking at. PBOT says the area moved again overnight, this time knocking over power lines and trees. They ask that you keep avoiding the area because it's still an active slide location with all of that water in the soil. And that slide on Southwest 45th, just some of the impact left behind after 3 days of heavy rain. There are several road closures and restrictions as a result. Near OHSU, a slide closing Southwest Fairmont Boulevard between Markham Hill Road and Mount Adams Drive. Crews posting road closures at a nearby intersection, warning drivers to steer clear except for local access.
Do not cross those barricades. You're putting your own life at risk and potentially others. In that case, we've seen the slide moving, and we think there's likelihood with additional rain of additional movement.
In saturated soil, trees are also an issue. Since Wednesday morning, Portland Parks and Rec says its urban forestry crews have responded to 60 tree hazards on city streets, roads, and sidewalks. The number to call is 247 for a city-related tree problem, or the number to call 24/7 is 503-823-TREE. Also important to remember, if you see a power line down, don't approach it and just go ahead and call 911. Okay, let's take a live look outside right now. Some partly cloudy skies out there as that atmospheric river has moved on out of our area. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joining us now. Joe, are we going to have a few days to dry out there, hopefully?
We are. In fact, we're going to be putting that atmospheric river in the rear view mirror. I'm live on top of the KGW weather deck, sponsored by Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking this afternoon. And the rainfall amounts have been absolutely incredible over the last couple of days, especially going back to last Thursday, where we started to see some of that record-breaking rainfall. So here's a look what we've seen going back to the early part of the week. And you add all that up, John, we're looking at over 4 inches of rain. That also including what we saw today, which is just about a third of an inch of rain. Now, we're done with the rainfall amounts, at least for this Saturday. We could be seeing some light amounts going into tomorrow, but just an incredible amount and staggering rainfall amounts over the last few days. Now, that more than 4 inches of rain I told you about, that's pretty much our monthly rainfall amounts in a matter of 4 or 5 days. So no surprise, we've been dealing with some slides here and there. All the watches and warnings in Oregon has expired so far, but there is a flood warning through parts of southwest Washington throughout the later part of this evening. Looking into tomorrow, we'll start to see some clouds increase throughout the later part of this evening, early part of your Sunday, but we stay mainly dry. Now, there is a weak system to our north that'll be bringing in some light rain by, I'd say, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but once that passes, we'll start to see some clearing skies, and then come Monday, there is a chance we could be looking at a little bit of some light rain, but for the most part, Monday is going to be more sunny and dry as a ridge of high pressure starts to develop, but we'll start to see kind of rain in the forecast going into the later part of next week as well. Of course, that's the last full week of winter. The official start of spring starts a week from Friday, and yeah, we'll slowly see our temperatures warm up over the next couple of days. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
All right, Joe, thanks so much. We'll see you soon. In Clackamas County, sheriff's deputies are investigating a crash that killed a 17-year-old and sent another 17-year-old to the hospital. It happened around 5 yesterday on South Dickey Prairie Road. That's about 9 miles southeast of Malala. Deputies say the car left the road and crashed about 20 feet down an embankment. The passenger died at the scene. The driver sustained serious injuries. Vancouver police want people to be on the lookout for this man. Brock Ham has a felony warrant for his arrest after he didn't show up for his sentencing for felony domestic violence. He instead fled to Portland and took off his ankle monitor. If you see him, call 911 and do not approach him. A Washington state man says he received a $1.8 million bill from the Department of Homeland Security for not leaving the U.S. after a deportation order in 2007. Sharon Yu spoke with an immigration attorney about that letter and her advice for handling one if you receive it.
On this plain white envelope, the first thing you notice is the federal government return address. Immigration attorney Olia Katala has heard about these letters.
It is ordered that a civil penalty be imposed upon you in the amount of $1,820,352.
But when our client called her in a panic, she too was stunned to see the Department of Homeland Security imposing a fine for every day her client has stayed past his removal order.
My client came to the United States in the early 80s, fleeing the Vietnam War, or they came as refugees from Vietnam. And they settled in the United States. So he was only 5 years old when he came, and he's in his late 40s now.
We're not identifying him because he's terrified of potential retaliation against his case, but he shared old family photos. He was issued a final order of removal in 2007, but Vietnam doesn't issue passports to refugees.
He does have a removal order, but he cannot leave. So he does have work permits, and he is here in the United States legally. He has had regular check-ins annually.
So why the fines now? The Trump administration amended an old law last June, making it easier to fine immigrants. The federal law the Trump administration is using to impose these fines isn't new. It's actually been in the books since 1996, but was rarely put to use. Considering that the fines can go up to $998 per day, the $1.8 million fine makes sense math-wise, but practicality-wise, it doesn't.
It's astronomical. I don't know anyone who has $1.8 million just laying around, and so surprisingly, you get this letter. It's a shocking number.
Katala's advice? Appeal if you can.
That's what I tell people, don't panic. Just reach out to an immigration attorney because they know about this, and they can help you out. They can, you can appeal this process.
There is a lawsuit attempting to overturn these fines. In the meantime, the Department of Homeland Security continues to send those fines out alongside letters urging people to self-deport. Back in Portland, crews have spent the day repairing a water main break in the Lloyd district that's causing some issues. This is at Northeast Multnomah Street between 11th and 13th Avenues. They were first alerted to the main break at around 6:30 this morning. For now, the Regal Cinema does not have water service, and some homes and businesses may also see a change in their water quality. The Lloyd Center is not impacted.
Not something that's actually dangerous to drink. It just changes the color. And of course, that's also an experience difference. We really sympathize for those households that are dealing with that and those families. And I really just want to thank our customers and our crews and the first responders to the scene for their patience and assistance while we try to resolve this incident.
Brandon Zero with the Portland Water Bureau tells us he expects the water main to be fixed around 7 this evening, with Northeast Multnomah opening to traffic around 9 tonight. Well, coming up here at 5.